Hey Buns, today I want to talk about the housing situation in Final Fantasy XIV. I want to make this video today because I received a distressing message from a friend of mine who recently went through what we colloquially have been calling housing savage. So they had spent 11 hours and 45 minutes straight camping a housing plot. 6 hours and 45 minutes of which they spent constantly clicking the placard trying to be the first person to be able to buy the plot. They had a semi-injured hand, and finally a new plot after staying up all night, going without sleep. They had spent 47 hours camping plots in total. My first reaction was, this is not normal. This is not good. This is not healthy. And then I realized this is probably actually quite common. For those of you who may be new to 14 and don't understand the housing market or why such measures might have been necessary, let me explain. So player housing is in 14, but it is not instant. This means that there is a limited number of plots available per server, and of course, way more people who want plots than there is a supply. So with a very, very high demand and a very low supply, this results in a bloodthirsty, cutthroat, competitive environment unlike anything else in the game. In the past, you could just buy a plot as soon as it became available, but people abused that system and started selling plots for money. Other people were abusing the system by using multiple characters and multiple FCs to literally buy up every single house in a ward, because we can't have nice things. So to alleviate that problem, they changed it so that there is now a random hidden timer between the point that the plot becomes vacant and the point when that plot can be purchased by someone. So it's between 30 minutes and 24 hours, and it's completely random. No one knows how long it would be during that time window. What happens in practice is that people will see a plot that is available, they go to the plot, and then they sit there and they camp the plot, and they just continually click the placard over and over until the second at which that plot will be available for purchase, and hopefully they'll be the first person to click and they'll be able to buy that plot. The human cost of that is, of course, people going without sleep, putting themselves in some physical duress and feeling like they cannot step away even for a moment for the chance of being able to get housing for themselves. Is the solution worse than the problem? I don't know, maybe. Is this actually a health issue in our community? So I went to Twitter and I asked the question of, do you have any FFXIV housing horror stories? And I related how my friend had spent 47 hours camping. And so now I'm going to be going through these stories with you just to see. This is going to be my first time reading them. And I have a bad feeling about it. One side note. Yes, they also added an auto demolition to help alleviate the problem of extremely high demand for housing and very, very low supply. Basically, if you're inactive for 45 days, your house will be demolished, freeing up that plot for more active players. But they've halted that timer. It's currently suspended because of the pandemic going on, and I'm all for that. I think it's great that they are not pressuring people to pay their sub during a time when there's a lot of financial instability. Oh, another side note. If you already have a house, you can relocate and bypass the timer. So, FYI. It's really just extra hard if you're a new player and don't have a house yet. When that person relocates, they of course leave behind an empty plot, but as a new player, you will have to sit through that timer. Okay, so let's look at some of these replies and see if this is really that bad. Someone posted a screenshot of their ward, which seems to be almost entirely bought up by one person. Nowadays, it's very difficult to do that. It would be extremely difficult because of the random housing timer. But people that were grandfathered in from the past, they still have all that stuff. This is the same energy as that guy who hoarded all of the hand sanitizer when the pandemic started. Like, who is this supposed to impress? Like, not me. This came up in our FC Discord a few months ago. I don't know the source, but it's both amusing and tragic. They witnessed housing PvP LB3. Folks got the available plot for their FC house right next to mine. Noticed an hour later, there was still a dude clicking their placard, so they put a target dummy behind it. Auto clicker started interacting with the dummy instead. Wait, are you telling me it was like a bot clicking? Oh, draw weapon, pause, sheath weapon. This continues for a while. So then they swapped out the target dummy for a retainer and loaded it with overpriced stuff and kept refilling the retainer until purchases stopped happening. Oh my God. Then put the target dummy closer to the auto clicker. Auto clicker was still attacking the dummy and resheathing for some time after that. Oh man. Moral of the story, kids, don't trust the game to play itself with third-party software. Click the placard yourself or risk paying millions for copper ore. What a fantastic story. Oh man, that feels so good to read. It feels so good to read, man. Some justice. Not a horror story. Well, maybe for them. About 40 total hours for me. Lost one to someone else clicking the same placard. Won by plugging in a controller to my PC because I could click while walking around the house. Oh my god. But losing a 10-hour click war with someone is soul crushing. Y'all. 10-hour click war. Imagine. That was really smart though, plugging in the controller to walk around the house. Still constantly clicking. This is awful. Someone said that the housing system in this game blows for that reason, and it's one of the reasons why 14 will never be more than a sometimes game for me. Not when I have over 25 houses in Elder Scrolls Online that will always be mine, and I didn't have to compete for a stupid plot to get them. I see where you're coming from. Like, I wish that Final Fantasy XIV had at least one or two instanced houses in the style of Elder Scrolls Online. I don't like the real money prices that they tend to charge for some of the houses in ESO, but like, is the cool factor of having a neighborhood by any means justifying all of this other crap that people have to put up with to get a house in 14? And the demolition system too. It sucks. For me, the good with 14 outweighs the bad. But I can see why a system like this might actually drive people away. I'm sure that there are people that would be willing to actually pay money in the Mog Station for a house. If it was a choice between camping for almost 50 hours or spending, what, I don't know, $5, $10? Like, I don't know what a house would be worth. What could a house cost, Michael? $10? I spent like 50 hours camping a Lavender Beds plot for my fiance, and I got to a point where I was really messing up my wrist. Someone said they spent well over 100 hours clicking and eventually just moved to a smaller population server. Camped for a few hours and the other players were just toxic. They camped it for hours with me and blocked the placard with huge amounts. Like 5 of them did at once. But then it was purchased by a bot, like somebody who was using some sort of software, because they came back and found the bot still clicking away after it was purchased. I don't know how to feel about this story, because on the one hand, it's like, yay, the jerks didn't get what they wanted, but someone who used a bot got it. Like, I don't know. Am I supposed to feel good about this? Like, I don't. Someone said that they were online nonstop for 2 days and taking short naps scattered throughout the day. And during one of those short naps, it was actually taken. A couple in my old static had an FC borderline harass them because they bought a house that the FC was intending to buy. The harassment and drama was so bad to the point where they both had to completely switch to another data center to get away from them. One time I camped for 23 hours, left for 2 minutes, and it was gone. Oh my God, this is a real horror story. A guy was camping a house and looked really intent. I just walked up and got it randomly without having to camp it. The guy sent me a tell and said he had been camping it for 14 hours and that he will now haunt me for the rest of his days. He now AFKs outside my house constantly. I pity him. Like, I feel bad. I feel bad for him. Look, guy, if you're watching, please move on. Okay, please move on. You're camping anyway. Okay? Like, you're still camping a house. Like, just go to an empty lot and camp that one instead. Oh my gosh. One person said that they had made an alt character and parked them in an FC on Diablos and checked how long it had been since someone logged in. They waited diligently from day 25 to day 45 when they knew the demolition would happen. I had it marked on my calendar, even set an alarm on my phone. I waited and waited until finally it was day 45. Their house had immediately become available and I was finally able to purchase it. That is creepy, but I mean, it worked. One person was actually trading Gil to other people that were camping at the placard to get them to go camp at a different placard. I gotta say, I admire the ingenuity with that one. One person told me that they have an apartment but want to be able to do gardening and share the space with their boyfriend. Right now, they've only chanced on 3 empty plots, spent 8 to 12 hours camping and clicking on placards for each one. The last time they did it, they ended up falling asleep in their chair, and when they woke up, the plot had been sold. People shouldn't be punished for falling asleep. I personally had to camp a plot for 41 hours. As I passed out, my FC mate luckily checked and called my phone to wake me up. One person said they got stalked by an entire FC for like 3 days because they relocated to the plot that they were camping. They said, I didn't even see them. I just checked at which plots had opened up, and seeing one of my favorites, I booked it. Some people said that they were able to get housing whenever a new ward was added, and that's probably going to be everyone's best bet going forward. When Ishgard housing is added, there's going to be a lot of new, fresh wards, and so if you can get there real early on patch day or whenever day that housing becomes available, then that's probably going to be your best bet. I got my house after 10 hours of clicking and staying up all night to get it. When I got it, the other guy threatened to report me for botting and asked his whole FC to do it too if I wouldn't give him the house. Friend camped outside a plot for multiple days. Just as he needed to leave and go to the airport, the plot opened, so he had to log into Final Fantasy XIV on his laptop while driving. I don't recommend doing this. Please don't housing Savage while driving. I can't believe this has to be said. I snuck my laptop to class so I could keep clicking on plots for 3 days. Spent all my guild but got a small plot. I ended up just going to bed at 3 a.m. with 30-minute intervals where I set alarms so I would wake up, check the plot, and go back to bed for another 30 minutes. I did this all the way until about 6:30 a.m. This is what I'm talking about. This is not healthy. This is not good. It is not good that this is behavior that the game encourages and that is rewarded, because, I mean, I'm happy that the person was able to finally get their home, but if this is what it takes, I hope that something is done about the housing system to make it less unhealthy for people to be sitting at their computer, setting alarms to not fall asleep just so they can get a house. It's not okay, and we need to be talking about it more. I realize that there might be some technical issues preventing something like instance housing, but with how badly this is affecting so many players, I really do think that it is worth the developers looking into and taking more seriously. I mean, just adding more wards, adding more housing districts is not going to solve this overall problem. Do you have a house in Final Fantasy XIV? Do you plan on going through the clicking hell to get one? How do you think housing could be improved? Should it have an Elder Scrolls Online type instanced system? Would you be willing to pay for an instanced house? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. I'm really looking forward to hear if any of y'all have some good solutions for this. So with that said, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Darkness. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Also, please take care of yourselves, okay? Getting sleep and taking care of yourself is more important than a virtual house.